Hello YouTube world, my name is Nicholas Montez and you're watching my YouTube channel, The Teenage Movie Critic, and welcome back to no YouTube channel everybody. I'm so excited to have y'all back here together again, and in today's video, we're going to be doing a tier list for all of the retro movies that I saw in the month of November of 2023. Let's go ahead and get started doing all 16 of these. Alright, so let's just go ahead and get started with this, and the first part of the list, not quite the most interesting, because some of the earlier movies that I watched, it's not a lot of, so we'll just get straight through it with The Monster and the Girl. And I found this film to be quite cool, I guess, but it just wasn't really necessarily what I wanted. Hold up, I gotta fix something here. But we got The Monster and the Girl, and I thought, with these films, I just feel like they just keep getting worse. They don't have an interesting story to come up with, and so for that reason, I find it's not bad, but it's definitely not one I want to go back and rewatch either. Then we get Make My Music, one of the Disney films that I finally was able to see after many times of not being able to watch it, and I thought it was it's just exactly like the rest of the wartime era in the Disney canon, because really the entire wartime era of Disney was just forgettable. Like, no film in that era was good. Like, Three Caballeros, Fun and Fancy Free, and Ink Bottom Mr. Toad were fun, but that doesn't mean they were good movies. And Make My Music is just another one of the forgettable Disney films. So, as for me, I'm gonna put it in the D tier. Alright, now we're coming to the first interesting movie on this list, which is It's a Wonderful Life. This is a movie that I was actually very curious about, because this past month we got a new movie called It's a Wonderful Life, which is basically a spin on this story. And after watching it twice, one back on November 5th, I believe, and then I rewatched it with my family on Thanksgiving. This movie, my family watched it for the first time on Thanksgiving. This movie is phenomenal. And what's even crazy is I will be doing a Celebration of Cinema review for this film in January. So that means I'll be watching it 3 times in the last month as well as next month. But just in general, this movie is a great Christmas movie, but it's also just like a well-written movie. That it feels so early for its time, that this movie doesn't really feel like a 1940s movie to me. And it really all goes down to the music and to the sound design. That, like, yeah, it sounds old, but when it comes to scenes like in the opening credits, it doesn't sound like a 1940s film at all. Or even when the party scene and they're going in the water, the music doesn't sound like from 1940s. It feels like an edited version. Maybe that's just the TV versions, that's just how it shows. It probably would have sounded way different in 1946 or whatever it came out. Besides that, I just love this story about this man named George Bailey, this movie is basically all about life. As it starts out, he saves his brother, but that cost him because he suffered a cold and lost the hearing in one of his ears. Then, you go throughout his life, and he has all these big goals, these big plans, and little things keep interrupting those plans. And sooner or later, all of his friends and his brother goes off to the world and do something great, and he's stuck with his family and his dad's company and him almost being broke. And he gets to a point where he actually wants to kill himself and jump off a bridge. But then an angel jumps down and sends him and grants him a wish to show him what the world would be like if he didn't exist. That a lot of things would be turned out really differently. And then when he realizes how important he is as a person, people actually give him the things he deserves. People give him money, and he finally gets to go do the things he always wanted to do. And it's just such a heartwarming movie but it's also just so heartbreaking. To me, it's just this movie's perfect. This is an A plus, 9 out of 10. I love this movie. For me, it's just great. You're going in A tier, easily A tier. Alright, now we have The Godfather. Now, this was a movie I wanted to check out for the first time because I'm trying out a new franchise, and the next time I watch these movies, you'll be getting my review for The Godfather Part 2. As for the first film in this franchise, I think the first Godfather is great. I loved the way that it just explored this mafia story and the Italian mafia. And really, I was not expecting how much Al Pacino's character would be playing in this movie, because I thought it was all about the big man, that the people talk about him and talk about their problems, and he is the one that goes in and solves all the problems and beats the guys up and sends his men. But I guess this movie's shaped in the way Italian mafia works, and the performances are great. And even when you think the mafia guy dies, like, there's actually a whole array of characters that you enjoy and you get to learn more about. And even with Al Pacino's character, who said he didn't want to join the family business, he ends up joining by the end because of the events that took place. So overall, it's very well written, it's very well acted, and I'm honestly very excited to watch The Godfather Part 2 because it was just that damn good. So I'm gonna put The Godfather in B, only because because the movie is very long. If it was like maybe 2 hours and like 30 minutes or something, it probably would have been higher and a lot better, but the movie is still very good. Then we get Good Burger. First time watch for getting ready for Good Burger Part 2. I thought it was fine. It was good. I only knew about this movie because I remember watching Kel Mitchell and Game Shakers on Nickelodeon. Besides that, I honestly don't really like the way the characters talk. Like, Kel Mitchell's performance as the character is great. It's iconic, and I do like it for that. But the other guy, he talks really weird, but in the newer film, he talks a lot better. Maybe it's just because he's older, I'm not sure. But this movie's fine. If you like throwback Nickelodeon, I would say you can watch it. But if you like the newer Nickelodeon stuff, then I would say stick with the newers. Then we have Wallace and Gromit: The Curse of the Were-Rabbit. So this was a film that I heard some pretty great things about it. It won Best Animated Feature for the Oscars in 2005. But I never expected how much Were-Rabbit stuff would be in this movie. But it is pretty great. The characters are fun. I like the animation. And it creates a fun story of this man who creates carrots, and then it turns out to be a were-rabbit story, but ends up being a horror story. It's kind of creative in many different factions of the imagination. So I can definitely see why it would win Best Animated Feature. It's definitely up there as one of the best DreamWorks movies. Is it like my all-time favorite? Not necessarily. But I will still put it in A tier just because, I'll put it in B tier. I can't love it as much as everybody else, but it is still great. I would give it an A, but not an A+. Just a normal A. Alright, now we have How to Train Your Dragon. Finally, I was able to watch this film, and I actually had a great time. This is the perfect way to do Scottish Viking stories in animated films. Pixar tried to do it with Brave, and while it was enjoyable and there were some cool things about it, they didn't succeed fully with it. How to Train Your Dragon is the epic story of how to do a boy who wants to do things, but his father doesn't understand, and he has to create a relationship with a dragon. And just the way that's all set up is pretty great. It sets up a bunch of great, neat characters. It actually has some pretty fun action. The score is brilliant. And it's just a great introduction to this trilogy that is already great. So, For that reason, I'm going to put this in the A tier. And also, likewise, Toothless is a great character as well, so that's also what makes it great. Then we get Prisoners, and honestly, I thought this film was great. And what I actually really liked about it was that it is a Thanksgiving movie. It starts out, they shoot a deer, and basically they use that meat to go get Thanksgiving dinner. But then it turns into this whole, like, mystery child film where kids go missing, and it's pretty disturbing stuff. And Hugh Jackman and Jake Gyllenhaal's performances are fantastic in this movie. Especially that scene, I forgot where I saw it at, but where Hugh Jackman has this guy pierced up against a wall, and he's like, "Where's my daughter? Where's my daughter?" And he smashes a hammer against the wall. Just fantastic stuff. And yeah, so it's pretty great. I was engaged with the performances. So yeah. I would definitely say I love it. Yeah, you're going in A tier. And now we have How to Train Your Dragon 2, which is another great movie, that I think outweighs better than the first film, as it just does everything you liked about the first movie, but better. You get more dragons. You get Hiccup better. He has a better look. He's old. He's grown. He's changed. And it's a bit more darker. And you get more of the world. And you actually get a villain that you're actually defeating. I like that the franchise actually brought in some villains. So for that reason, it's pretty great. Then we get Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. I actually love the Mockingjay films. I think they're action-packed, I think they're emotional, and I think that they're also really well acted. So, for me, but they don't reach the highs of what these other films are, but you are still going to go in the B tier, but they are still great. And then we get Mockingjay Part 2, and I think this film was also great, but it doesn't reach what I think are these other films. But yeah, 2 still great movies and possibly my favorites of the franchise. Then we get How to Train Your Dragon 3, The Hidden World. And easily, I absolutely loved this movie. Actually, you know what, let me put this here. Yeah. Actually, yeah, I'll switch it here. So now we have How to Train Your Dragon 3, The Hidden World. Easily, this was the best conclusion to the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. From the epic action, to the great characters, to the great arcs of the characters, to the expansion of the world, to the story. It just did a lot of great stuff. And once again, also, the relationship between Toothless and the Light Fury, just very cute stuff. So overall, I really enjoyed this movie and this great conclusion to this trilogy of films. So you're easily going in A tier. Now we have 1917. This is my Veterans Day pick for 2023, and I actually really dug it. I thought this film was great. I just love the way that this movie does shots, and the fact that this movie was just done in one take, and even in the way the action is done in all the war stuff, it's really cool, and the story, and it's able to build characters and everything. It just does something in so impressive way. The only thing that I'm a little surprised by is that it's not a 3-hour long movie. And usually war movies are like an hour, or usually like 3 hours or something. This movie's not an hour and 59 minutes, almost pretty much 2 hours. So it's pretty shocking by that. But at the same time, I would still say it's great. So you're gonna go in the B tier though. Then we get Togo. So this is my pick for the film I chose for Disney Plus this year. And I thought it was pretty good. Willem Dafoe played a good role. He wasn't the best. I mean, he was good. The story itself was fine. And also this is my pick for a Disney Plus original film for the 4-year anniversary. But besides that, there's nothing really special about it. It's fine, it's okay, but that's all I can really say about Togo. But I will put it in the C tier though, because it was good. And then we have The Bad Guys, one of the DreamWorks movies that came out last year and really surprised a bunch of people. I actually really dug it. I thought it was actually pretty good. I think the animation style is actually pretty cool. The characters are pretty clever and fun. And it actually has a nice little story to it about these bad guys who have spent their whole lives doing bad because they never actually had a choice. But then they realize they do have a choice. And so for that reason, I think that the story is very clever because of that. So easily you're going to go in the C tier. And then finally we have Ruby Gillman, the Teenage Kraken. I didn't really know what to expect going into this movie because I just saw the trailers and I'm like, this movie just looks like Luca mixed in with Little Mermaid and all this stuff, and I'm not buying it. I'm not digging it. But I saw the movie and I was like, okay, this isn't too bad, but it's not entirely great either. I mean, definitely there's a DreamWorks movie that's better than this movie this year, so I'll give it that, but it's not that great. But I still enjoyed it though, so you're gonna go in the C tier right there. And there you have it. That's my tier list for all the retro movies that I watched in November of 2023. Thank you guys for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff in the about section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.